Okay, we're now in our third segment dito sa Focus Philippines, China. And what are the issues of the day? Before we go to that, let's talk about the experience of Austin Ong in China as a student for 2 years. Is that correct?
2 years.
That's quite a lot of time. I know the other students who were there. Chris Orongan, who is with the staff of Trillanes now. Lucio Pitlo is doing very well as Dean of La Salle, no? Is that right?
Professor
yeah.
of China Modern Economy.
Okay, and so how many students have been part of the organization you formed, the Philippine-China Friendship Club?
Right. We started in 2012. Incidentally, that was at the height of
the Scarborough standoff
Philippines,
and the
China
Yeah.
tensions. At the same time, we were very fortunate to have experienced actually living in China. Of course, the Filipinos also felt a little bit of sensitivities at that time. If I may share a story later.
Yeah, sure, please, go ahead.
To answer your question, we have about maybe 50 to 70
members at that time?
Regular active members
at that time.
Right.
Is it growing today?
It's growing. There are three Filipinos, types of Filipinos in China. The first one go there for 6 months or 1 year to learn Mandarin. So we call them the language students. The second group, like myself and the other friends that you've mentioned, we go there for a 2-year to a 5-year program, studying a degree course. And then the third group, these are Filipinos whose family migrated to China when they were young for family business, etc. So these groups come and go. What's important is during the year that they're in China, there's a friendship club that encourages them to engage and interact with Chinese friends.
The mainstream Chinese.
The mainstream Chinese. In addition, you'll be surprised, not only the Chinese, but our ASEAN, our Southeast Asian brothers.
So you have ties there,
we have
Vietnamese?
ties, Vietnamese, all 10 ASEAN countries are there. It's a very international cosmopolitan university experience. And
not only in your university,
not
Tsinghua.
only, this is all over. We have Filipinos in Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, Guangzhou, Fuzhou, Fujian.
Well, our audience will get to learn more about the Filipinos and other nationalities in China through hopefully in the next few episodes, features we will borrow from China Radio International and other websites. We're trying to discuss and get permission. And by the way, before we go on, maybe I can request if Joshua is listening, maybe you can pick out the Philippine-China Friendship Club website. You have one?
Yes. Correct.
And maybe you can show it on screen. You take your time to look for it while we're discussing. So let's continue. So the experience you have in China, the Philippine Friendship Club, we discussed some of the membership, the cosmopolitan air that you experienced there.
Right.
During the height of the tension over the Scarborough in 2012, did you feel any heat from the local population?
It's unavoidable. As we know, there's 1.3 billion Chinese. Of course, there are also different exposure for the different Chinese. For example, of course, we were in the university environment, so our friends, our colleagues, our interaction with the Chinese were more in the academic setting, so they were more exposed to global news, to international news. Of course, there's some misunderstanding, as we know that there were some incidents, for example, with the Japanese factories in China,
the Japanese,
experienced some protests
That's more
among
intense.
the local
That's more
economy,
intense.
right?
No? That I think cannot compare to the Philippines.
But there were no untoward incidences towards the Filipinos, which is very positive.
Filipinos never attacked China. The Japanese Second World War memories are easily lit up again.
At the same time, the Filipinos, our club were connected to the professionals, the Filipino professionals in China, and they actually continue to make a livelihood. They continue to engage with their Chinese employers. We have Filipinos, for example, in this one commercial area. There are many bars, local bars, local restaurants, and most of the bands were actually Filipinos. You know, this is the global Filipino, the
Right.
talents of our Filipinos even sing Chinese, as you had some
last week, our second
guests
episode,
in the show.
and we'll have more of them.
Right. So it shows that they were, you know, they're part of the community. They live in the local neighborhood and eat Chinese food, have Chinese friends, go to the Chinese supermarket, and they lived a comfortable life. Many of them are many of them lived there for many years, maybe even decades, because they found China to be their second home.
You were just earlier talking about somebody who works in a
restaurant,
in China.
We have one
you will be
Filipino.
inviting in our future episodes.
Right. We have one Filipino member in the club. He went to Beijing for Mandarin.
To learn Mandarin.
To learn Mandarin. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this,
Sure,
but
sure.
we're not allowed to work actually legally.
Of course.
But to augment his income for school, he did some part-time.
So he's not allowed to do that.
Not allowed. We are not allowed to work. I'm not
That
encouraging.
happens all over the world.
Right,
That's
right.
How,
But it shows the industriousness and then the
enterprising
spirit of the Filipino. In any case, he did very well because of our global hospitality standards. He did very well. The restaurant expanded because of his responsibilities and management roles that were eventually given to him. One restaurant became 3. And now he's the supervisor for all 3. Now he has a working permit.
So you won't mention yet the restaurant.
I will not mention the restaurant and the name.
Until he gets a legal...
no, he's already, after
he has
2 years,
permit
so
already.
he's learned Mandarin, he's learned the Chinese culture, he's learned the Chinese society, and the owner of the restaurant sponsored his visa.
Okay.
So now
There
he's
was a
doing very
recent
well.
report on CCTV9 that I watched about new, more open policies of China towards migrants, I think, working talents and so on. We should schedule that for discussion in the future
It's a
episode.
big opportunity, especially for our...
Okay, I don't know if we have been able to find the website of the Philippine-China Friendship Club. Joshua, just tell us when you're ready with that. Let's move on. You mentioned in 2012 Scarborough as an issue, but you now say it's less of an issue than before. You just mentioned that a while ago. Of the air when we were discussing.
Maybe we cannot say that. It's still a very important issue, and it's an ongoing issue. Of course, from the public side, we are not privy to many of the current developments. So I feel that the key is of course, we have to protect our sovereign rights, of course. At the same time, the key, I believe, is the people-to-people relations. The Department of Foreign Affairs has its own mandate to do what it's supposed to do. At the same time, the key is for people-to-people relations to continue in the economic, in trade. As we know, Philippines-China trade increases every year.
But regarding the sovereign rights, I think Deng Xiaoping tried to point the way to a more productive
alternative
and beneficial arrangement there. The issues of sovereignty and territorial rights and so on will never be resolved, maybe in generations, he said. But you can start joint development and so on. Because presently, the hot issue is the Scarborough again, that with the tribunal expected to decide this May. There is some build-up of anxiety over this. And then I still continue to note, for example, this article in the Inquirer of Ambassador Evans, who will be assigned to London, saying that our tribunal case has the support of all the world. I don't know if, ready ba? Sige nga, let's take a look at the website of the Philippine-China Club. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Right.
Philippine-China Friendship Club, so PCFC.
That picture is the Cariñosa in Peking University on their 10th anniversary International Cultural Festival. So we had Filipino students serenading.
Can you expand that to the picture?
Chinese community. And you can see Chinese media and photographers happily, excitedly taking pictures. Because we were very every time we have a performance, we are the most colorful, the most upbeat. We had the Philippine flag center stage in the most prestigious university in China.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time, so let's get back to this issue of Ambassador Evans, Filipino Ambassador Evan Garcia, P. Garcia. Yeah, I'm sorry, I said Evans, but it's Evan, his first name, P. Garcia. He says the Philippine case is supported all over the world, no? But there, it's highlighted there, the date also, so people can study it. The fact is, we have read reports last week and just earlier that in our last week's report, Russia, India, and China met in Moscow and issued a consensus that the cases such as the South China Sea issue should not be internationalized and bilateral negotiations is preferred, the preferred method. Later on also, we read the reports of Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, with China having the consensus saying the same thing. So we're concerned that some of our diplomats are presenting inaccurate views of this. Although the West seems to want to make people believe that because they are for it, the tribunal case, the rest of the world is. The fact is India, China, and Russia, both in terms of political power and population, is probably more than half of the world already. We just want to inform our people to be careful about these sweeping statements that pushes us towards just one alternative and closing the dialogue. Okay, we have now 2 or 3 minutes left. There are some information that we want to bring to the public, of course. First, those who want to study Chinese further can join the summer program of the Confucius Institute of the Ateneo. Who's heading that institution?
The Chinese director is Dr. Cynthia Liang.
Cynthia Liang,
She has a PhD in media, mass communication, and then Dr. Ellen Palanca of
what's
Ateneo.
the role of Ellen Palanca there?
She's the Philippine director.
Okay. Can we scroll down this summer camp details? If not, how do they get in touch with the Confucius Institute? Just dial the Ateneo number.
Ateneo.
No?
They're also on Facebook.
Okay.
Confucius Institute Ateneo.
Okay. We just have 1 more minute, and that's sad. There's so much to discuss further. But we would like to credit the Inquirer finally clarifying that indeed Russia is siding with China on this issue of the approach to this multilateral or this bilateral issue. So anyway, we've run out of time. Austin, some words for our audience?
We keep positive, and I believe the key and the issue is always the people. So we need to maintain multiple channels of engagement. At the end of the day, it's what is the benefit for the local people. And we can always find alternatives to current challenges, alternative solutions. And I believe that's what we can contribute as a society.
Okay, and we are in discussions with the UP as Asian Music Ensemble. So expect more music and cultural inputs in these programs. So keep tuned in. You'll see us on Facebook, YouTube. We have a replay every Tuesday, noon time, here on GNN and Sky Cable Channel 213. We have a replay of this episode Friday evening at 9 o'clock next Friday. And then, of course, our Sunday show again next week. So with that, we say goodbye for this week. And see you next.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. It's May 1st. This will appear on May 1st. They have big celebrations in China and in many countries all over the world.